Slavery, the treatment of human beings as property, deprived of personal rights, has occurred in many forms throughout the world.
How do you think he was captured? Probably through a war. You know, there were African middlemen, and they would fight wars with other Africans to enslave them to sell to the white man.
But when white captains came offering manufactured goods, weapons, and rum for slaves, African kings and merchants had little reason to hesitate. They viewed the people they sold not as fellow Africans, but criminals, debtors, or prisoners of war from rival tribes.
As early as the 14th to the 15th century, white slaves were shipped to multiple countries. It was labeled as like a booming slave trade during that time on the markets in the Black Sea coast, into Italy, Spain, Egypt, and the Mediterranean islands, as well as Barbados to Virginia.
But the Atlantic slave trade began in the late 1400s with...
Although slavery still exists in parts of Africa and other parts of the world.
The slaves came from England. England historian William Inglis, he stated in 1836 that the starving agricultural laborers of southern England are worse off than the American Negroes.
American natives were enslaved, but many died from new diseases, while others effectively resisted. And so, to meet the massive demand for labor, the Europeans looked to Africa. African kingdoms prospered from the slave trade. As for the slaves themselves, they faced unimaginable brutality. The Atlantic slave trade was an injustice on a massive scale.
Now that I have shown you some things, I say again, as I did in my last video calling out Paul Blunt, fuck the racist card. Everybody's ancestors have been a racist, and now there's evidence to prove it. Books you can read. One such book that I've come across, White Cargo, describing the enslavement of Irish people. That's right. All you blacks aren't sitting here all high and mighty. You're not the only ones that have been enslaved. White people were enslaved first, starting as in the early 1400s. I go on. Then, after Europe, the people who enslaved your people by your people first came to America. They enslaved Native Americans, ones who were already there. Then when there wasn't enough of Native Americans, as it showed you, they turned to Africa. And again, I have videos that even indicate, even History Channel shit, that indicates that black kings sold their criminals and blah 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 to white people to fund them, and it benefited them. You want to know why you're in America? Because your people traded you to be here. There is nobody on this gracious country soil who have not been enslaved. Mexicans were enslaved along with the Indians. Blacks were enslaved because Europe needed more workers. Native Americans, blah blah blah. Whites were enslaved to benefit Europe. And then later on, hello, blacks just kept being enslaved because anybody who was of lighter skin could say, oh, I'm a Christian, and get the fuck out of it. Boo fucking who. It doesn't matter. That was in the past. And now you got organizations like the KKK, and you think that you're justified in being a Black Panther? Black power! Fuck Black power. Fuck the KKK. Fuck any fucking power, because in the end, it should be we the people. Not, let's divide us and everything else. Look at the country. Look at the bullshit that this country is going through. All of it. It's horrible. Instead of dividing the people, people like Paul Blunt should be helping people like me unite the people. Open your fucking eyes. We had an opportunity to save this place back in 2008. Instead, we stuck with the guy who gave the same promises as he did the first time he ran. Unfortunately, he won. And I don't say unfortunately because he's black. I'm not just some cracker Because as I said in the last video, I have no color. I am not white, nor black, nor red, nor whatever. Because it doesn't matter what the fuck color I truly am. It matters what goes on in my brain and how I stand up against people like Paul Blunt. Now, I've administered a challenge straight to Paul Blunt, personally, myself. But of course, Paul Blunt is afraid of people like me, James Brutal. Because people like me are well educated, and he is ignorant and one-sided. He went to high school and middle school and believed everything he was told. Nobody in school teaches you about how the Irish were enslaved. Nobody in school really touches on how badly the Indians were enslaved, or how bad the Mexicans had it. Nobody in school tells you that in the beginning, it was white people making deals with black people to get black people as slave traders, as slave workers. Your people betrayed you, black power enthusiasts. So instead of bitching about it and everything else, either A, take your funky ass back to Africa and show the people who traded your people off in the first place what the fuck's up, or quit bitching about it, accept the fact that we all on American soil were all slaves at one point in time, and join us into making this country better than what it could ever have been. Yes, it was horrible. Slavery was never a good thing. Ever. Putting criminals to work? I could see that. But not because they're black, not because they're white, because they're criminals. Let them work their sentence off. Let them make them be a part of this society and making it look better. Because if they're the ones that destroyed it, they should make it look better, not the hard-working people. But I'm sick and tired of hearing this racist bullshit. So I administer again. Paul Blunt, stop your ignorant ways. Help me destroy people like the KKK and Black Power, because they are all one and the same. They are idiots, bigots, racists, just like you. But I'm giving you a chance to redeem yourself. Fight against racism. Abolish it. That's all you need to do. There is no more black versus white, white versus black. There is no more this color versus that color. There is only we the people versus the corrupt. I eagerly wait your response, even though when I messaged you about it, all you had to say was add me or stay on my inbox. I told you there would be more videos to come, and I will keep calling you a racist and keep studying every move you do and calling you out until you are public enemy number one when it comes to a racial war. Fuck Black Power. Fuck KKK. Fuck them all. Because in this country, the only thing that matters is being one. We need to fight against tyranny and bullshit. Quit dividing us, you racist bigot. And I urge you, anybody who's in Black Panther, in the Black Panther, or the KKK, or whoever, I dare you to come at me. Bring it on. Bring your best arguments. I love a debate. I will even welcome you on a live recording, via Skype, in person, whatever. I will welcome it. I love the debate. So if you think that I'm unjustified in saying, fuck all of you, because you want to be racist, then bring it on. I would gladly hear your story. And hopefully, at the end of the day, at the end of my term here, when I'm finally fed up with trying to help this country, help people realize that racism is not real, that it's a figment of your imagination. You give it power. Racism exists because of black power and white power and all that. If you can convince me otherwise, I will drop this crusade right now. But you can't. But hopefully, you'll drop yours and join my fight for the people. Not the blacks, not the whites, the people! That is all for now. Blunt, I'll give you 3 days to respond, or I'll make another video and I'll expose you even more. I'll prove everything you say wrong. I'll make you look like a biggest idiot, even to your friends. You've been warned.